Hello there, this is Dimon360, and welcome to the May the 4th marathon of 3 videos completely Star Wars based, even though every video is completely Star Wars based. We're going to start this off with ranking all 11 of the Star Wars movies. Now I know there are 12, but we're doing 11 because I really can't give a damn about the Clone Wars movie. So, we're doing all the live action Star Wars movies. This is my personal opinion. This is not the best, this is just my personal favorite. So without further ado, let's just start this marathon. Starting with... Coming in at number 11 is no surprise, it's The Last Jedi. What more can I say about this movie? I don't like it. No, I just don't just like it, I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate the character treatment of Luke Skywalker, the character treatment of Leia, Poe Dameron, Finn, Rose, Holdo, Admiral Akbar. I hate it all. All of it. It spent more time trying to retcon The Force Awakens and subvert expectations than telling a good story. Rey was a Mary Sue as ever, giving her no struggles, which could even be argued worse than she was in The Force Awakens. The only storyline that even matters is the Luke, Rey, Kylo, and Snoke, and that is one of the worst storylines in Star Wars history. I think it is character assassination and dumb. Luke trying to murder Ben Solo is way out of character. Do not try and give me excuses. Kylo's arc is good, but it's also a big mess. They're trying to make him a traumatized individual while making him a screaming buffoon. They wasted Andy Serkins, which is really disappointing because Andy Serkins is amazing. And everything other than that, we don't even need it. And even if you did, it's boring. It's not fun. It's not interesting. It's boring. They wasted Chewbacca too. The Porgs were unnecessary. And there's just... If you guys like this movie, it's okay. I'm not gonna be angry with you. But I cannot stand this movie. The few positive things I can say is that all the actors were on their A game, and it looks good. It's probably the best looking Star Wars movie. But that's all I can actually say about it. I hate everything about this movie. At number 10, we have Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, here's the issue with this movie. You've got the Darth Maul lightsaber duel at the end of the third act. In fact, you got the whole third act. You got the Gungan fight, the space fight, the trying to get to Gunray, and then the really, really good lightsaber duel. But everything else in this movie is boring. Now, I know some people like the pod race. I am bored out by it. Everything on Tatooine, I basically have to fall asleep if I'm going to get through a Star Wars marathon watching this movie. I can't stand the politics. I can't stand it. Ugh, so boring. And then you got Jar Jar, who, I don't think he's as bad as some people say, but he was very much unnecessary. I don't know why they made Qui-Gon a main protagonist. It should have been, more focused on, Obi-Wan and Anakin, which the Clone Wars made up for, of course, because, the Clone Wars. Though, still, I do like Qui-Gon as a character. I think Darth Maul should have survived throughout the entire prequel trilogy. He should have been, Anakin's, opponent. And overall, there's too much politics. There's too much boring. As great as the great scenes are, like the Darth Maul duel, there's just too much boring. There's too much politics, there's too much boring, there's too much unnecessary humor. This movie is unnecessary. That's all I need to say. Coming in at number 9 is Star Wars Episode 9. Now, I don't hate this film, but that's all the good I can say about this film. I don't hate it, but I do not like it. When I first saw it, I was very much mixed on it. The second time I went to see it, I was starting to notice some flaws and I wasn't enjoying it. And then I saw it a third time, and by the third time, I knew I didn't like this film. The plot is weird. Nothing makes sense. All the logic and plot from the previous movies has been cast aside to the point where I lose track of what's going on. The whole MacGuffin plot. We already have a MacGuffin plot in a Star Wars movie. It's called A New Hope, which, by the way, is a very good Star Wars movie that's very high on this list. But the MacGuffin, just bringing Palpatine back was not a good idea. I initially thought it was. It really wasn't when you look at it. It ruins Vader's sacrifice, and they could have helped that, but no, they didn't do nothing to help with that. Again, Rey is a Mary Sue as ever. They tried to give her a character struggle, which I appreciate, but that didn't do much. She was still a Mary Sue, and yeah. Though I will give credit where credit is due, the way they handled Carrie Fisher with the unused footage, I did like. I very much liked it. I know some people have problems with it. I don't. I think it's worthy of Carrie Fisher's legacy. But other than that, there's not much else to this movie, in a good sense. Number 8 is Attack of the Clones. Okay. I am with the massive majority that the romance in this movie is awful. It's worse than Twilight. So, maybe it's not as bad as Reylo, but it's worse than Twilight. But everything else I don't think is that bad. The Obi-Wan figuring out the clone army, I don't think is that bad. With Jango, Kenobi, and then the third act with Geonosis, all of that isn't really that bad. It's actually pretty solid, but this movie is held back by that god-awful romance. I mean, how can these two, or those two, be the parents of Luke and Leia? I can't understand that. I don't understand anything with that romance. But I will admit, everything else is good. They did overuse the CGI a lot, but then again, The Phantom Menace did the same thing. There were some boring politics moments that held it back. And really, this should have been the beginning of the trilogy, not The Phantom Menace, and we should have had a Clone Wars movie. Fortunately, we got the Clone Wars series, which was, god tier. Dooku is unnecessary, but, it's Christopher Lee. Sir Christopher Lee, you can't get any better than him for that role. But, yeah, there's just not enough to this movie. It's focused on a romance that, really, I just have to skip every time. Every time I watch Attack of the Clones, I have to skip the romance, which means I'm skipping over half the movie. And that's pretty bad. Number 7, Solo, a Star Wars story. Now, this is where I don't think the movies are bad anymore. In fact, I kind of like Solo, a Star Wars story. I don't love it, but I kind of like it. It's a fun little heist story. That's all it needs to be, and that's all it is. It's not trying to be the biggest Star Wars movie around. It's just trying to be a fun action heist with Han Solo. I love how the guy who played younger Han Solo worked. I thought he did a very good job. Same with Lando, but I think the younger Han was a little better. But I don't think we needed a Han Solo movie to tell us everything about Han Solo. I think that was kind of like his like what they were doing in Lando in this movie, like everything you knew about me is true. They should have had that with Han. They shouldn't have told you that. And I don't understand how we got everything in one day. That doesn't really make sense. Is that he just became Han Solo in one day after one heist? I don't really know. Also, I'm going to be the first to say it. The Darth Maul cameo was unnecessary. It should have been Prince Xizor from Shadows of the Empire. It really should have been. It should not have been Darth Maul. But still, it made for a cool cameo. And then in TCW or Star Wars Clone Wars, when you see Dryden Voss in a hologram as Maul's talking to him, I thought that was kind of cool. I did like Han Solo and Chewbacca's dynamic, and I liked kind of exploring the criminal underworld and stuff. That's cool, but I think The Mandalorian's already done that, and I think it's done it a lot better. So, Solo: A Star Wars Story, it's just another random Star Wars story. Didn't really have to be a movie, and frankly, it didn't even have to be made at all. At number 6, we have The Force Awakens. Now, I know I bash the sequel trilogy a lot, but I don't hate The Force Awakens. I don't think it's as good as A New Hope, but I don't dislike it. I do think they set us up with a good cast of characters that had potential. Too bad the next two movies didn't do jack shit with those characters, but they still had potential. I liked the dynamic between Han and Chewie, though I don't think he should have went back to a smuggler. I enjoy their dynamic with the new characters. I kind of like Kylo Ren. I don't think he should have been temperamental, but still. I kind of liked how he was, when he had the mask on, he was all this, feared warrior, but on the inside, he was just a boy. But it's a carbon copy of A New Hope, apart from that. And that's just not good storytelling. That's lazy, dare I say it. It's downright lazy. Now, Force Awakens left a lot more potential for storytelling than A New Hope, because A New Hope kind of ended, with a proper ending, where Force Awakens ended on, a cliffhanger. So, that kind of got me excited. Of course, the next two movies did nothing for me. But overall, it's not a bad movie. It's just a more flashy, newer looking, worse version of A New Hope. And at this point, that's all I can really ask for anymore. At number 5, we have the original, A New Hope. Now, obviously, this one's going to be very high on the list. I like this movie. I genuinely like this movie. This is what started it all. You don't have the other Star Wars movies without this one. I love the cast of characters they gave us, even more than The Force Awakens. I love all the acting. I love having Vader as the antagonist. I mean, that's one of cinema's greatest villains. He's up there with Joker and Thanos as the triangle of greatest cinema villains. I love the plot. I love how there's this Death Star. Rebels have to destroy it. They have to get the plans. Yet, it feels fun and exciting. You don't need the other Star Wars stories. Obviously, they all came out, and a lot of them are, I don't want to say better, but this was a full-on story. And it's the original. You can't get any better than it. Number 4 is Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Now, say what you will about this movie being boring or the characters not being interesting. I love this movie. I love it. I love everything about it. It puts the war in Star Wars. Even more so than, Revenge of the Sith. For movies, at least. Clone Wars did it even better. But I digress. I personally enjoy the cast of characters. My personal favorite characters Cassian and K2SO, which is why I'm kind of excited for that TV show, but not really. I like Baze and Shurit. I like Jin, and Bodhi was cool. I liked having him on the team. I liked seeing Saw Gerrera. I liked kind of seeing Mon Mothma, Admiral Raddus. I loved all the Easter eggs for Hera Syndulla and Chopper in the background and the ghost on Scarif. Stuff like that. It was a fun Star Wars story, and it makes you think yeah, it's A New Hope is great, but it would not have happened without this. It explores the darker side of Star Wars, which has been done before, but not since 2005. So, I like getting to see that darker side to this whole war. Because war is not nice. It is not fun. I love the third act. Third act is one of the best third acts in any of these movies. That is without question. And, also, there's this. Vader still got it. Number 3 is The Empire Strikes Back. Now, this might be a little controversial, but it's not my favorite Star Wars movie. I think it is the best Star Wars movie, but I don't think it's my personal favorite. I'm just like with A New Hope, I love the cast of characters. I love Luke, Han, Leia, Vader especially, R2-D2, C-3PO, Chewbacca. I loved the introduction of Lando and Boba Fett. I thought they were very essential to the stories. I liked the settings from Cloud City to Dagobah with Yoda. The music in this film, I think, is actually very underrated because you got Yoda's theme, The Escape on Cloud City, Imperial March, obviously, and then you got Yoda and the Force, like that. But there's just a lot of adventure. It's fun. There's a story. The bad guys are winning, but you don't feel like all is lost. And you still get to have fun with the good guys. Vader is at his Vaderiest, which is never a bad thing. That's actually an amazing thing. And the lightsaber duel between Luke and Vader is really exciting. And most importantly, we see our characters grow. We see the changes, how they go from A New Hope to how they are in Return of the Jedi. It is a masterpiece of not just a Star Wars movie, but a masterpiece of cinema in general. And truly, one of the best Star Wars movies ever made. Number 2 has got to go to Revenge of the Sith. This is, again, one of the darkest Star Wars movies. We see the fall of Anakin Skywalker, the Jedi Order, the rise of the Empire, and Palpatine. And oh my god, I think they do it so well. Everyone is on their A game. Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Ian McDiarmid. Of course Ewan McGregor's on his A game. It's such an entertaining movie. Just watching this, watching everything. What's gonna happen. And then the clones killing the Jedi is so painful to watch. But you can also, see it coming from a long ways away. My favorite thing about this movie is Palpatine. Just seeing him mastermind everything. Masterminding the Separatists, the Republic, Anakin. he sends Grievous to Utapau. He contacts him. Next thing you know, he's telling Anakin, "Oh yeah, tell the Council Grievous is on Utapau." It's the lightsaber action. In fact, the action in general in this movie is really good. John Williams' score is at its best. Just everything about the CGI is at its best, and you can really feel the darkness and the illuminating threat that is going on when watching this movie. And that is what is gonna kill me for the Clone Wars Season 7. That is what is tearing me apart, having to watch that again. That's what made the last few episodes of Clone Wars Season 7 so goddamn amazing. And it's happening during this film. This film just set up so much for future Star Wars content, and it is easily one of the best Star Wars films ever made. Yep, number 1 for me, Return of the Jedi. Now, this is not the best Star Wars movie. It is my personal favorite. Yes, it's a little cheesy, but hey, this is my personal favorite Star Wars movie. And if you don't like it, it's okay. I love seeing the culmination of the last 2 films of the original trilogy and where our characters are now. I love seeing Luke finally come into his own as a Jedi, Han come into his own as a rebel. I love seeing Vader's redemption arc. I'm a huge believer in redemption in real life, and I love seeing that in this movie. I love the idea of a second Death Star. Personally, I have my own theory on the Death Stars if you want me to go into it. I loved getting to, see everything just come together. We finally get Emperor Palpatine in the flesh. I think that is really, really cool. I love Emperor Palpatine in this movie. And it's like Vader's sacrifice is so important. Everything on the throne room, it gets me every time. Just father and son fighting to the death while Palpatine's laughing in the background. Everybody's on their A game, as always. The final battle in this movie is incredible. I don't know what it is about this movie. I love it. I love the characters. I love the story they're presenting. And it will be my favorite Star Wars movie. It has been my favorite Star Wars movie for as long as I can remember. And that's going to do it, guys. That's my ranking of all 11 Star Wars films, in my opinion, from the worst to the best. Feel free to leave your ranking in the comments below. I would look forward to listening to that because, I like listening to my fans. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.